Watching movies, jamming out. K-Flix 198.4 Fiction Radio.
Welcome back to K-Flix Fiction Radio. In this episode, we're going to use the power of music to find out which one of you listeners is a serial killer. That's right. We're on to you, and by the end of the show, we're going to know which one of you it is.
It's all one big trap.
Yeah!
Shawn, we're talking about Trap, M. Night Shyamalan's movie from last year.
Yeah, the thriller starring Josh Hartnett and M. Night Shyamalan's daughter as the musical artist in this movie, Lady Raven.
Yeah, Saleeka. Right out the gate, I want to say, Shawn, the thing I wasn't expecting was to like the music so much from this.
Dude, me too. I had never put on any of her music before doing the prep for this. I have seen the show Servant, which she has done some music for, so apparently I have heard her music at some point in time. I just didn't know it.
Oh, okay.
She is crazy talented.
So good. I had no idea. I was fully unfamiliar with her. I've never seen Servant. I was just blown away. I was like, oh, this is like real, like she's a legit musician. She's got several albums. I mean, prior to this soundtrack.
I think this is her second full-length album. Her first full-length album was in 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I embellished there. Several recordings out.
Right, yes.
She's had quite a few singles over the last few years. But yeah, man, just wanted to start with that. Like, holy shit, the music's good.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed with the music and also just the amount of hats that she wears making her own music. She writes, produces, performs. She mixed this. She helped mix this album.
Yeah, I mean, she seems like a real singer-songwriter of the modern age. We were talking before this recording. I was like, I don't have a lot to talk about because there aren't that many like producers or co-writers or the things you would normally expect on a pop record on this.
That's very true.
There are quite a few people who contributed to the different tracks in the album as a whole, but like for the most part, it seems like she just makes this shit.
The skill set that you need to make all of this stuff and make it sound like actual music that you would hear is astounding to me.
I mean, never doubt a Shyamalan and their drive to make stuff.
Ain't that the truth? And this was a true collaborative effort between her and her father because it seems like he came to her wanting to make something that had to revolve around music. And they came up with this idea, which is sort of inspired by Purple Rain and Bollywood movies because they have so much music interwoven throughout them.
Yeah, and it is interwoven. You're right. It's like a through composed piece almost. It's like a score, but it's pop songs.
Right. And the songs work well in the movie lyrically. And then they still work independently of the movie. If you were to just hear the song, it would just sound like a pop song.
Yeah.
But hearing it in the movie, the lyrics sort of mirror the scenes sometimes, you know?
Yeah, all the sync up stuff is cool.
Full warning, everybody. If you haven't seen the movie Trap, there will be spoilers in this episode. So This is your warning from here on out. We will be spoiling things about the movie. So if you have not seen it yet and you do not want it to be spoiled, this is your warning to go to Max and check it out right now because it is currently streaming on Max at the point of this recording.
Correct. Yep. So we got that out of the way. Now, everybody who's still here and those of you who have come back because you went and watched Trap, we're going to proceed and talk about the movie itself.
Yes.
Now, this one's a little different for a Shyamalan thing. The twist, he gets the twist out of the way right up top. Like
in
it's
the trailer,
in the trailer, we know the twist. Yes. That's not even a spoiler. We know that Cooper, played by Josh Hartnett, is the butcher, the bad guy in the film. And it's not about that. It's not about who done it. It's about how's he going to get out of this trap.
Yeah, exactly. The movie is so different than I expected because I saw the trailer and I thought there was going to be some sort of a Shyamalan twist where the daughter is the killer and like or you know like some crazy shit was going to happen. But no, it was like a straightforward, this is the killer. How's he going to get out of this situation? And I never expected him to get out of the situation and continue it outside of the concert. I never in a million years thought that was going to happen.
There was a moment, Shawn, where I paused the film and I was like, it's got to be almost done, right? And the little line was right dead center of the screen. I was like, we're halfway through this movie. 'Cause the concert was like over.
It's not even that long of a movie. That's the thing. It's what, like
No,
an
it's
hour
not even
and
that
40
long
minutes.
of a movie.
Yeah.
But just the feeling of tension. I mean, listen, this is his love letter to Hitchcock.
Oh,
more
yeah.
than anything he's done before. I mean, he's literally got a tea kettle boiling in the background scene further into the film. But I mean, the whole thing, it is a series of tense moments strung together. That is this whole movie. It's just meant to keep you on the edge going, oh, what's he going to do now? I think on points of style and visuals and all that, I have no problems with this movie. In fact, I think it's really, really well made. Now, much like other M. Night Shyamalan films in the past, where it falls apart for me is the story.
Okay.
I have some major issues with not even the story. The story's fine, but the plot and just how sort of we get from point A to point B on a lot of places.
Okay.
I think everything ends up being in service of this creating tension to the point where there's characters just doing shit that I don't understand why they're doing it.
Oh.
If you'd like, I did come prepared with a list of grievances. I know it's like passe to like even trash M. Night Shyamalan at this point. It's been done, but I do have my list of grievances. We can get them out of the way, and then I won't harp on anything I disliked about the film after that.
This is a safe space, Dustin. Air those grievances.
And this is where our spoiler warning really comes in, because I'm basically going to like rapid fire through the plot of the film here.
Right. Okay, sure.
Point number one, even for a serial killer with, what do you have, like 14 victims at this point?
I think so.
This response is too big. The federal government wouldn't be involved, and they certainly wouldn't have 1,000 people surrounding this venue as a trap. I don't buy it.
Well,
I know it's based on a true event.
but not even if they were tipped off that he would be at the event. You still think it's overkill.
I still think it's overkill. I still think it would be like state police. I don't think they'd be checking every male who walked through the doors.
Okay.
And also, we live in a world where this kind of thing can happen digitally, you know? Like, we're already getting our faces scanned every time we go in and out of a big venue like this.
True.
I just don't buy the huge response.
Okay.
Secondly, I don't buy that the staff of the venue was in on it. They would have blown that right away if you told every
it would have been on
merch
social
vendor
media.
and hot dog guy. Yeah, with the code words and all that stuff. I thought that was all a bit much. I don't think Lady Raven would have been as clued in as she was. At the very least, I don't think she would have paid attention like she did if she was a real pop star. She knew everything. She knew all the profile information on this guy, which came in really handy for her later. Mm-hmm. It pushes the bounds of believability for me. I think the character of the profiler is kind of a dumb misunderstanding of what those people do.
Okay.
You know, there are profilers, there are FBI profilers. That's a real thing. I mean, there's that Fincher show that will never be finished about the birth of that process. Mindhunter, which was so good.
Amazing show. But also there was that show in the 90s, The Profiler.
Oh yeah, and there's and Criminal Minds is a more current,
True,
big offender in this way of like, I mean, it's the Law and Order of the FBI profiling universe. So it's always hyped up big headline shit that's not exactly probably how it works.
Right.
And I think this is an example of not exactly how it works. I don't think this one person would be like doing all the profiling. A, would have like psychic like knowledge of what he's going to do at every moment. B, and C, I just don't think she would be the person on the walkie-talkie leading the charge. Like, she's like the first one into his house. She's a profiler. This is a desk job.
Yeah, fair.
Like, they have a SWAT team there, and then she marches in. I don't buy it. I personally cringe every time I hear a character on any show or movie use the word unsub. I think somebody heard that once and decided that's the only thing they use. I think it sounds so cringy. Cops say suspect, perp, target, or just our guy. Usually it's our guy. What are we looking for? Our guy looks like this. After they get to the house the first time and he makes his escape through the trap door or whatever, they wouldn't have left the wife there. They would have been all over that place looking for more clues and shit for other stuff he's done.
Sure.
I don't think they would have taken the kids to the sister's house, either, like their aunt's house either. I think they all would have been put in legit protective custody at that point because they were threatened by him just moments earlier.
Fair.
Okay, here's a big one. When they surround the limo after he steals the limo and sets up his little decoy with the helmet, I don't think they would have shot him there. I think there were too many people around. You have like crowd considerations and stuff. I don't think they would have popped him. And they do it so fast. They're like, step out of the car, and he doesn't move, and then they shoot him.
Well, I mean, I got to call bullshit on that because cops just shot a bunch of people in the subway in New York for somebody ditching the fare.
Ooh, fair.
They don't give a fuck if people are around. They will just shoot because they want to shoot.
Well, cops are going to cop. But here's the thing. On the other hand, moments later, they absolutely would have shot the fuck out of him and not tased him 4 different times and allowed him to like gouge that person's eyes out.
Yeah, he Game of Thrones that motherfucker.
Yes. And in that scene, I'm like just before, I'm like, I don't think they would have shot him. Then right away, I'm like, they totally would have shot him. They would have shot him so many times. And when he gets, away from them later and he returns to the house to confront his wife. I don't think he would have done that because he seems like a guy who mostly just wants to get away. So I don't think he would have come back to the scene, to a place where they'd be looking for him. I don't think she would have had poison ready. I just don't think any of this would have gone down.
Well, I mean, he explains very clearly why he's there to get revenge on his wife because he's blinded by anger. And when people are blinded by anger, you can't use logic to be like, well, they would never do that because they fucking would because they blacked out in anger.
I guess it's just he's so motivated by the fear of being caught for the whole film up to that point. That's hard.
Until he feels anger like he's never felt before.
Okay.
Some of the grievances I will give you, but that one...
Not letting that one slide. Okay, that's fair.
He's a killer at his heart, and the person responsible for his now troubles, he wants to kill them with blinding anger.
Well... Fair. I further don't buy that she had the poison, or not poison, but whatever, the drug ready to give him.
Okay.
That makes him pass out. The whole, like, how she reported him but didn't thing was kind of flimsy to me. I guess, that's kind of how domestic, like, stuff goes sometimes. Like, you don't want to turn in your significant other if you
Nor do you want to believe it.
Or whatever. Nor do you want to believe it. Okay, fair. I'll give you that. What I will not believe is that on the way out, he's like, give me a minute to check out that bike.
Oh, yes.
And they let him.
Ludicrous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that they bring the kids there.
Oh, yeah. Well, while he's like take him
while
away.
They're arresting him. They seemingly bring them there to see him, which is crazy. Would not happen. They wouldn't let the kid run up and hug him.
No.
That's about the end of my list. I do wonder what he's going to do when he gets out of the handcuffs at the end. But given the incompetence demonstrated by the law enforcement up to that point, he could get out. I'm sure he could.
I'm positive that he will. So here's my theory overall for the movie. This takes place inside of the Glass universe.
Oh, really?
And Josh Hartnett's character has some sort of power or ability. Now, every time you see Josh Hartnett's character Cooper in a crowd, whether it be around children or adults, he's a solid 1 to 3 feet taller than everyone around him.
Yeah, that's true.
So many people talk about his strength and the ease in which he is doing things of like a physical nature, including being tased by like 6 people at once at the end of the movie.
Yes.
Also, with his size, when they put him in the paddy wagon at the end, he takes up the full fucking thing.
Yeah, it looks tiny in there.
And I sort of think that he has like a manipulation power because he's able to get information out of the t-shirt guy so easily, and he's just able to get the cops to stop to let him break that piece of the bike off.
Okay.
I feel like it's sort of like a manipulation power that he has.
That explains it a little bit too, because also I question, like when he's talking with his wife after she knows, he says or she says, it comes up that he has this innate ability to lie really well.
She brings it up.
And in that moment, I'm like, really? Like, he's been acting squirrely as fuck for the last hour and a half. I don't buy that he's a good liar at all. But maybe it's not about his ability to lie. Maybe it is about a supernatural ability to persuade.
Right. That's just a sort of a theory that I have about it, you know?
If I believe that, it makes me like things a lot more. It puts a neat bow on a lot more stuff that way.
Honestly, I really liked this movie. I thought it was a super fun watch, and I had a good time with it. And I like, believing in this theory that I have no grounds to say that it's a definitive theory in any way. But, it just sort of feels connective to that Glass universe to me.
I mean, that makes it way more fun because You know, I will grant that all my grievances with this movie are because I am the way that I am. I'm the reality police. I'm the fun police on movies in general. When it doesn't make sense or it wouldn't, in quotes, happen that way, I check out.
Right.
Which makes me just like generally not like horror movies, thriller movies, or anything but fucking documentaries sometimes. Like... depending on how far I want to push it. But if I can look at it through that lens of what you just said of like, oh, this is part of a universe. He's got some special powers. Everything washes away. I like that way more.
I thought that my theory might help with some of your grievances, and I'm glad that turned out to be the case.
Yeah, definitely.
Dustin, you mentioned in your grievances, just casually, this was a big story to me. This is based on a true event.
Kind of. No. Okay, yeah, let me backtrack that. But yes.
I mean, it is based on this because M. Night heard this story and thought this is a great idea.
Yeah, the kind of is to say it wasn't a pop star concert.
No, but a massive sting operation like this is based on a true event.
The key difference being in this one, there's a lot like there's all this happenstance that leads up to it. Like they find out he's going to be at the concert. So
Correct.
They make the trap. In real life, there was an event that was designed where they sent out free tickets to a bunch of wanted felons.
Uh-huh.
And it worked really well, I guess. Operation Flagship in Washington, D.C.
In 1985.
The U.S. Marshals and Washington, D.C. police lured a bunch of fugitives to a convention center, resulting in 101 arrests.
They said that they won tickets to a Washington Commanders, I'm not going to say their old name, and a Cincinnati Bengals game. And then that they also had a shot to win Super Bowl tickets that year. So these people showed up to a convention center, got put into a room, and were promptly arrested.
It's so good.
By people that were in disguise. They were in like mascot and cheerleader uniforms and shit. It was crazy.
Yeah, you would like give your ticket and then you'd be like right through these doors, and then you get through and you're the only one who went through the doors and a bunch of people surround you. There's video of it. Have you seen any of the video of it?
No.
Like the news stories at the time? Oh, like you can actually see what you described going down.
It's like a To Catch a Predator thing.
Totally. If they did it now, they would have a contract with Fox to broadcast that live.
They totally fucking
It was just a news story then. It wasn't fully exploitative. But yeah.
I had never heard of Operation Flagship before, and that was a wild thing for me to discover during this process.
Pretty funny that it's not a out of thin air idea. Did you happen across the fun bit of trivia regarding the actress who plays the FBI profiler?
I don't believe so.
This profiler character was played by an actress named Hayley Mills. Hayley Mills has been acting for a very long time. One of her most notable roles was as the twins in the original 1961 Parent Trap.
Oh, that's cool.
And so she is, to some degree, doing a parent trap. She's trapping a parent in this movie. Last thing I wanted to mention just about the movie before we get into the music, which was what we're here to talk about, is I thought it was really cool how they shot all the interactions between the characters.
Oh, yeah.
Where everybody's like center framed, and it just looked really eerie the way they talk to each other. You see it especially in like when Josh Hartnett's character sees the mom of his daughter's friend in the concourse area, but it's always like this dead center thing. And I was like, that is so cool. And it turns out they actually used this device that I've used before on like reality TV and documentary stuff called the Interrotron, which is a lens that attaches, like a mirror system that attaches, to the lens of the camera and allows you to actually look basically through the lens and see the eyes of the person interviewing you is what it was designed for. But in this, they used it so you could see the actor you're acting opposite. I don't know, it just gave it a really cool visual thing.
I did read about that, and I thought that was a pretty cool technique that I had not necessarily heard about before.
I've definitely never seen it in a narrative film before.
And I agree with you. It was a cool way to shoot those interactions, and it did give you an unsettling vibe because of it.
Yeah.
All right, on to the music from this film. The first bit of music that we get is from Lady Raven, but I just want to go ahead and play a little snippet of her opening act before we get into the main course of Lady Raven.
Oh, sure.
There is a fictional artist called Papa's Boots that opens for Lady Raven, and they perform a song called Buena, and the real artist is Tio.
I'm alive, so alive, baby, vibes alright. From the dawn of the night. Caught a feeling of me knowing what could happen, never knowing if it's wrong, if it's right. Sipping on a roof.
I really like that they went into the detail of her still having an opening act for this concert and them seeing part of that. I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, they went into so much detail on the concert stuff.
Yeah.
Immediately you can tell they shot it like a real concert. You know, and then I looked up to confirm that they did. Because so many times when you have a scene like this in a movie, it's not the main thing, and they're budget constrained and time constrained, and you end up getting this sort of high school talent show version of what a concert looks like. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like they did giant walls of LED screens, and they had, whenever they were filming it, she was actually on them, and it just played like a real show. When they went backstage, the backstage stuff looked correct. The only nitpick I had there is that trap door. I'm like, they wouldn't just fucking leave that open next to a bunch of people.
True.
Yeah, man. Super cool that they included the opening act as part of it, because it's just fleshes it out more.
It made it feel like an actual show.
This is a dangerous comment because I don't know the artist well, but Bad Bunny, do you know Bad Bunny?
I know of him because he's wrestled. I literally know nothing else about him.
I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a wrestling connection, but I was like, I don't know, off the cuff. That first act kind of reminded me of Bad Bunny, but I might be wrong.
I don't know if I've ever heard a Bad Bunny song. I do know I have watched him wrestle.
Nice. Like pro wrestling, WWE shit?
In the WWE, in fact, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now that you guys have heard our pilot episode for Turning Red, we're once again wading into those territories of the most popular kind of music, which is the music I feel least comfortable talking expertly about. Niche rock and roll genres, we got it. Velvet Goldmine, we could do another 6 hours on that one. But anyway, I'm doing my best. I think we'll get something out of this. We'll learn some stuff together.
You're darn right we will.
So the first Lady Raven song, Saleeka song, that I wanted to bring up is the first song on the soundtrack, Don't Want to Be Yours.
There's no graceful way out of a death trap, babe. I might cause a scene. Tell me how to leave, oh please, I don't wanna be yours anymore. Everything I need is in me, I don't wanna be yours anymore. Tell me how to leave.
I like how this song transitions from the credits into the car where Riley is singing along to it on the way to the concert.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool opening credit sequence too. These days I just always appreciate any opening credit sequence. I mean, say what you will about this movie, and I've already said what I will, but like, he funded this thing himself. He did it himself. They shot this during the strike, and he was able to proceed because he came to fair agreements with people working on his film. I think it's awesome that he's just doing what he wants to do these days, because I think M. Night Shyamalan has been through the ringer in a lot of ways in Hollywood, unfairly with a lot of stuff. So cool to see him just doing his own thing.
There are a few old school dudes that are doing that because that's the Kevin Smith style now too.
That makes sense. I mean, he's always had that spirit.
Exactly. Well, I mean, so has M. Night, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true.
It's right, just totally. He's had a little bit more success in getting studio backing throughout his run than Kevin Smith had.
Yeah, but him being able to just do what he wants, I think it's better than having a studio meddle with stuff.
100% agree.
Even if I don't agree with his every decision, I would always rather see the director's decisions.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Don't Want to Be Yours. This song, I mean, I didn't know anything about this movie going in. I didn't know anything about the soundtrack going in. I knew it was this big pop concert. I thought it was going to kind of capitalize on the whole Taylor Swift thing. It sounds a lot less like Taylor Swift than I guess I expected.
Yes.
And a lot more like music I truly enjoy. It's a lot less bubblegum and more like, oh, these are like good, solid grooves. And there's a throwback element to all of the material on here. I think on that song in particular, it immediately sounds like Destiny's Child and TLC and some like 90s, 2000s R&B that you don't hear as much anymore.
I completely agree with you. The amount of nostalgia I got from listening to these songs was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Considering they came out in 2024, they could have come out in the early aughts and it would have completely fit in. And that's not a disparaging thing to say because they were making amazing pop songs back then.
No, dude, it's cool. Like it's cool how much it reminded me of all the like pop music when we were in high school.
I'm going to be throwing out a couple couple of things as we keep talking about songs. I'm sure you've got some stuff in the chamber too that'll be fun to talk about.
I've got a little bit, yeah. I don't have a ton of clips for that kind of throwback stuff, but I did want to mention it, like, because I tried to kind of go down that rabbit hole of like, it sounds like Destiny's Child. What Destiny's Child song? Well, none of them exactly, but there is a kinship there. I mean, I guess in some interview, Saleeka listed her, and who knows how accurate this stuff is when people get asked stuff on the spot. You just have to think of something to say. But she was asked her influences for this, and she listed Adele, Billie Eilish, Rihanna, Rosalia, and Taylor Swift. And I'm like, okay, fair. I mean, those are all giant pop stars, but what I'm hearing is the old shit.
I mean, I can hear old Rihanna in there for sure. The Taylor Swift stuff, I feel like, is more so taking the grandeur of it and the status of it.
The image, yes.
Definitely the image in terms of like her live performance, because I feel like her outfits were more Taylor Swift than other things were.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, totally.
In terms of Lady Raven being the hugest sort of possible thing, that's the Taylor Swift aspect that they took for that character. That's how I interpreted the Taylor Swift stuff.
It's more stylistically. Okay, yeah, I buy that 100%. But just musically, I'm like, oh, I can hear all this old shit creeping in and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Big time. The next killer Lady Raven track that we get exposed to in the movie is Save Me.
Save me from myself. He only tells me lies. It's no good for my health, but I still wanna come. Save me from myself. I wrote my own demise. There's no way this goes well. I must be on my back.
For this one, Shawn, I'm going to flip completely from what I just said about how it's reminiscent of old school pop R&B from the early aughts. Mm-hmm. This one reminds me of all the new stuff. This song, first of all, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love this track. But this, to me, evokes like Selena Gomez.
Hard to breathe.
Oh.
With something like her song, Same Old Love.
I'm so sick of that same old love. That shit, it tears me up. I'm so sick of that same old love. My body's had enough.
Or, I mean, the one I immediately thought of when I heard Save Me was Havana by Camila Cabello.
He took me back to East Atlanta.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. I didn't connect either of those two dots, but 100%.
And it's a formula that I love, that groovy sort of piano bass line thing. There's a Cuban beat at the bottom of all these things. It's just, it's so infectious.
Yeah.
Songs like that, and then just overall, there's something about Save Me that reminds me of like James Bond songs.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a direct comparison for that, but just something about the chord structure or something. It's playing in minor keys. It just reminds me of like a good sultry Bond song.
That's I really like that one. That one's not anything that I thought before. It does feel like a Bond song now that you bring that up.
Right? Yeah. I can't put my finger on what it is, but it's there.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess if anything, it's a darkness. There's a darkness to these songs that I wasn't expecting, and I think it's what makes me like them more than I thought I would.
I did see a thing where Saleeka said that she wanted it to start at a level and then progressively get darker and darker in terms of the songs as the movie progressed.
Oh, interesting. I mean, even where it starts is way darker than I expected and way less like bubblegum, and I'm all about that. I fully appreciate that decision. And maybe that's just because she's, that's just baked into her being a great songwriter, which it kind of seems like she is.
Apparently.
Okay, so the next song, Shawn, that I wanted to hit is Care For You.
I dream of this for days. I can't find love away from you. I hope it's not too late to tell you I care for you. Yeah, I care for you. I care for you.
This one, it feels like the Bollywood sort of track to me.
Oh, okay, a little bit, yeah. I could sense it a few places in here, honestly. Something about the drum track that takes it there.
Yeah, I agree. That's sort of like
makes you want to
dancey. Yeah, like I'm getting a lot of shoulder dance with that song, you know?
Sure, yeah, you're doing it right now.
I was.
That's a great point. I didn't even think to mention the Bollywood angle at all, but it's clearly an influence on all this stuff. This song just continues the progression of her showing off some stylistic range in this.
Yeah.
The first song we talked about, we've got the old school influences. The next song was like sort of modern pop, groovy, dark pop influences. This one is all sort of modern R&B to me. I mean, this has elements of like SZA, or if you know that band Hiatus Coyote.
I don't.
Which they're awesome.
That's a great name, though.
Great name, great band. There's a bunch of like more modern R&B artists who are not quite in that like mainstream arena that like Selena Gomez, for example, would be in. They're just doing cool shit. And this reminds me of their cool shit.
Hell yeah.
So again, just highlighting like she knows what she's doing. I'm sure she listens to all these artists. And this one kind of reminds me more of her solo, her stuff that she's done pre and outside of this film soundtrack.
Oh, right.
Because if you listen to the rest of Saleeka's music, you can definitely tell that she's adding something to it to get to this pop star level that she's gotten to for this soundtrack. Like, this isn't exactly naturally the music she makes. You can tell she's working to make it fit exactly what it needs to be for this movie.
That is just a greater testament to how talented she is.
Sure is. Real quick, Shawn, here, I don't know if you checked out any of Saleeka's music outside of this soundtrack. I just wanted to play a clip of her song Clarity from her 2023 album, Seance.
A little bit of clarity, a little bit of air to breathe. I think I got it now.
Just to show that like she knows how to do good R&B too. Like, this sounds totally different. This sounds like it's this real intimate, small space kind of sound. It's totally different than what she's doing for the Lady Raven songs, which are meant to sound much bigger, but she's got real chops.
Yeah, this is more like a Erykah Badu sound.
Yeah. A little more old school, faithful R&B sound.
Back to the soundtrack, the next song that I would like to play is Liar.
I was in the crowd for his debut. I can't forget about it. Spinning tales like he was born to do. I like the way it sounded till I felt indebted to his rules. I couldn't live without it, but now he's got no vows left to renew, and I don't feel so cloudy.
Now this song, to me, this is one of the throwbacky songs.
Definitely.
This song to me sounds exactly like a song two people would combine to make. It's in their style, and those two people are Justin Timberlake and Timbaland.
Okay. Yeah. Totally.
It is so sort of like Cry Me a River.
That's what I immediately thought of.
That slow crawl, and then it puts those snaps or claps in there as well. It's like, it's so fitting for a specifically Timbaland Justin Timberlake beat.
Yeah, okay.
And also, I think there's like a little bit of Mirrors is in there too, which Timbaland did for Timberlake.
Aren't you something to admire? 'Cause you shine at something like a mirror.
It's just that classic Timbaland slow crawl beat with the snaps or the claps in there. It's so Timbaland.
Very much so. This was one where as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh, Cry Me a River." But I wasn't mad about it. It's not like it's not like, oh, they stole that from. No, it's homage and it's great.
Similar, but it's different. It's not the same beat. It's just that flow. It just meshes,
just
playing in the same river.
Yes. We both went with water analogies. That's great. Yeah, you're totally right.
Which means that I like the song because those beats are really, really good.
Oh, it's so awesome. These songs are so good. So unexpectedly good. I did not think going into this that I was going to love the music. I didn't.
No.
I really didn't.
I mean, I didn't expect to like the movie either, so I was just pleased all around.
Pleased as punch.
Yeah, I really was, yeah.
So about halfway through the concert, we get our first guest appearance in one of the Saleeka songs.
Yes, a guest appearance from another fictional artist, this one by the name of Parker Wayne, played by a real artist, Russ, for the song Hiding.
Russ, yeah. Man, a lot of one-namers in this. Saleeka and Russ.
It's for the best. I can't keep hiding from myself, from myself, from myself. Hiding from myself.
Perpetual
punishment is what I put myself through. Lack of self-forgiveness is the reason I can't move. Shackled to the lack of reconciling with my past. I don't feel safe, I made mistakes, I need a brace for impact. When in fact, letting go low is a knife that I'm holding to my own throat, but maybe I don't like not knowing who's gonna protect me if I'm not on high alert and unprepared. I needed protection as a kid, but protection wasn't there. But I'm 30 now, my dad can't be bothered to help. Said I'm 30 now, I gotta learn to father myself.
This song, A, feels like a song I would just hear on the radio.
Yeah.
And B, I love, again, the detailed nature of them being like, hey, we need a song with somebody doing like a hip-hop style verse on one of these pop songs.
Yeah, this is a big show. She has 2 like surprise appearances. This guy comes out of a trap door, and then Kid Cudi's character later comes from backstage.
The trap door that Cooper tries to convince his daughter it would be fun to just meander down.
Wouldn't it be so cool if we went in there?
Yeah, they probably got costumes and stuff down there.
I mean, they cover it like that's the thing where I was like, "What do you mean you're like a good liar or what? Like you're acting so weird." And then they have her keep saying like, "You're acting so weird."
Yeah, yeah.
This song's dope too. It's another one of those like modern Latin groove things that reminds me of, you know, again like the Selena Gomez type end of the pop pool.
And then the next song on the soundtrack, and also the next song that I would like to bring up, is Empathize. I like a lot about this song. First off, the sort of Jack in the Box wind up that's the background beat for this song is awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Like, doesn't that kind of sound like a Jack in the Box to you?
For sure.
And then there was another thing that I was curious if you picked up on in the lyrics of the song, Dustin. Perhaps a chip-choppy vocal structure?
Oh, chip-choppy vocal structure.
Lipstick and I hit this in my pocket for the
Okay.
twisted but a risky guy. I make it out alive. Your crimes off the record fade late, just like a feather boo.
I did not pick up on it because I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. This is in Shawn's mind the definition of a chip choppy vocal structure. So I'm not yet trained enough to pull them out of the wild. But each one you give me, you're feeding the AI that is my brain.
There we go. Okay,
I'll be
okay.
able to
Yeah.
synthesize what a chip choppy vocal structure is. Another great track.
Oh, so good. So good. I've been listening to that one a lot on my walks lately.
It's got a good walking tempo.
The song for which I have the most to say is Dreamer Girl, and that's the song where Riley gets selected to go up on stage because Cooper has manipulated the living shit out of M. Night Shyamalan's character.
Right, yes.
It's so vile. I still smile. I could be anything in my mind, in my mind, in my light. Shines brighter in the night.
I know where you're going with this, based on something you played me earlier.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, I hear it now.
Oh, you mean this Nelly Furtado song, Say It Right, featuring Timbaland? Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad that you saw that coming. Was this the song?
Yeah, definitely. Like the beat is the same.
And it's got a vocal throw out in there. Hey.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right on the money with like the Timbaland influence being strong in this soundtrack.
There's a couple of other things about this song that really gave me brainworms. There's a lyric in the song that triggered something for me. I don't know if it triggered it for you, so we're just gonna play a game and see.
Don't leave,
Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave.
Don't leave. Sushi Glory Hole, Lonely Island.
A later work, so
Yeah. Every
it would have been
time
influenced by the Saleeka song.
Exactly, yeah. Every time I hear her do the "Don't leave," I'm like, "Don't leave, don't leave,
Don't leave.
come back. Where you going?"
That was a just surprisingly great Lonely Island sketch out of nowhere this past year.
I'm so sorry. I had to do that.
Sure, man.
I can't get enough of Sushi Glory Hole, so I had to tie that in.
Hey, while we are tying in random crap, I got one for you. My issue /fascination, whatever it is, with the way the main character, the bad guy in this movie, acts. He's so weird. Like you said, he's able to manipulate people, but the things he says and the way he says them are so weird, so off-putting.
Yeah.
Like when he talks about, he makes up the story about his daughter's leukemia or whatever, it's not like empathetic. It's like a person with no empathy saying it.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, well, okay, I can't take credit for this. It reminded my wife of, and she pointed out, another character interaction from another M. Night Shyamalan film.
I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
Mark Wahlberg in The Happening with the famous, what? No. But there's something about, like, I guess how M. Night Shyamalan wants actors to act that's like that. What? No. Just a little too over the top for what's required, and it makes it eerie. It makes it creepy.
That's a good catch. Now, this song, Dreamer Girl, is produced by 3 people: Saleeka, Rye Keys, and Jeremy Lloyd. And I found a TikTok from Jeremy Lloyd. His TikTok is Clear Eyes Music, and he's talking about coming up with the beat for this song.
Sometimes it's fun to use tools in completely the wrong way. So Isotope makes this plugin called Vocal Synth. It is for turning your voice into a synth, but I wanted to see what happened when I fed other things into it. I took this piano line, and this Vocal Synth preset completely transformed it.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool, yeah. It's funny that of all the clips that you found that one to play, because Shawn, I've been inundated with audio plugin ads and TikToks and stuff lately because I downloaded some for this show. And now I just can't get away from it. Actually, specifically from Isotope, the brand that he mentioned, I installed a bunch of those, and then I fucked up our whole mix and nothing sounded good at all. And then I eventually took them all out because I didn't know how to use them properly, and they're for music, not this. But yeah, as soon as I heard that clip, I was like, oh, I know about this stuff kind of now.
Oh, that's funny. Jeremy Lloyd also co-produced the Liar track that we played earlier in the show.
Jeremy and Rykes are on a good number of the songs on this album.
Yes.
As co-writers and producers.
Here's the thing where I'm hoping perhaps you can help me, Dustin, because I got pretty focused today on trying to figure out where that woo in Dreamer Girl came from. Now, just as a refresher, I thought that it sounded familiar. I thought I knew where it came from, and I was like, I think it's in a Little Big song called I'm Okay.
I'm okay.
But that's not it. That's not the same
Quite
woo.
it, no.
So then I thought maybe it's in It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock.
That's more where my mind went.
No, it's still not it.
Not even if that's pitched down?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I ended up with nothing because it's not on Who Sampled. I think it's too new.
Ooh.
I couldn't come up with anything, but I know I've heard that woo before, that exact woo. I know I've heard it.
That exact woo.
At least it sounds so familiar in my mind that it got me to try and track it down at least. Perhaps I haven't heard it, and it's just something so familiar that I've heard in music for so long that it seems familiar. Or perhaps it is a familiar woo.
It's definitely a trope given the songs that you just played.
Yes, from different eras, no less.
But yeah, to find the specific one, I feel like a little woo like that is the hardest thing because you can do so much pitch changing. I'm not convinced it's not that woo, that there's not one woo to rule them all that everyone's been using and they just did some plugins and shit on it. But I don't know. I mean, and there's always the chance that someone did it in the studio and they just used it.
It's possible that it's hers. Yeah.
Totally. But okay, this is one where I might have to go do homework, Shawn. This sounds like you've piqued my interest.
Okay.
If I come up with anything before we publish this episode, we can insert it right here. All right. Wow, that was so fascinating when I found out.
Yeah, did we sound different? I bet we did.
Last song I wanted to hit, Shawn, is the next featured performance, the next duet, if you will. The song that I believe closes out the concert in the movie. It's called Divine. In real life, it features Kid Cudi. In the movie, he plays a character named The Thinker, who is brought out to do some guest vocals during the encore song. And they give his character a little bit. Like, they make him kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what reason, really. Like, it's a weird thing about this movie. There's, like, not much need for character development outside of the main guy. It's all about this killer at the center of the thing, but they do give you little bits of like the profiler and the Kid Cudi character, and well, you get a good bit of Lady Raven, but she's more main character territory. But yeah, like I was left wondering, like, why did we need to know that he was kind of a dick?
I think it's probably just a commentary on like those,
just rounding out that, like, how this stuff is.
Yeah, that being a trope of real life.
Okay, sure. Okay, sold. It's just more realism.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, here's a bit of Divine.
Dying, she shines in our favor. I wanna
Singing the song alone. You're like mommy. Heaven knows you only go so divine. And I see you more than you know. And the sky is fading.
Kid Cudi has such a recognizable voice on this.
Yeah.
And style in general. And that's not a bad thing. I like Kid Cudi a lot.
I like how much acting he's been doing lately, though.
Yeah, he's been showing up in some stuff. So this song Divine was co-produced by Kid Cudi along with his longtime collaborator, Dot the Genius. Dot the Genius most famously did Day and Night with Cudi.
'Cause day and night, the lonely loner seems to free his mind at night. He's all alone through the day and night. The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night.
Also the fact that both these guys, because Dot the Genius doesn't collaborate on everything that Cudi does these days, but he was instrumental in that early stuff and did collaborate on this song with Saleeka, and I feel like that's why you can hear that really trademark Kid Cudi sound in this song.
For sure.
The style and tone is so good. It's so chill, this album. It's a pop album. It's got big groovy stuff, but like it's so chill. There's none of the like rah 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 kind of things I was expecting going into it. I'm so happy for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it blends really well with the rest of it. It doesn't feel shoehorned in. It doesn't feel like, and then we got Kid Cudi on this one track and like they recorded it at some other place, some other time. I mean, maybe they did, but it doesn't sound like it. So job well done.
We're reaching the end of the episode here, and I feel like I know the answer to this question, but if Lady Raven were real, giving us real music, I mean, and I guess she kind of is, because Saleeka is real. This is technically her second album, even though it is a soundtrack as well. Would you enjoy Lady Raven?
Absolutely would and do. You're right, she is kind of real because Saleeka is real, although there is a distinction between the two. I think Saleeka on her own, from what I've heard, again, we only have 2 albums, this and one solo album, but on her own is a lot more subtle R&B, great in a totally different way. So to answer your question fully, I would listen to both. I both enjoy the pop music of this album and I enjoy what I've heard of Saleeka's career outside of this album. So yes, fully on board.
And also, who knows where her career is going to go with album 3? She's going to take what happened from this soundtrack and incorporate that into album 3. I have to assume that it's just, a continual step up the staircase.
It's just going to keep building. Yeah, she doesn't seem like someone who's going to hang out and make the same music over and over.
No.
Seems pretty crafty, pretty smart, She just seems like she's going places.
I agree with you. I would rock with the Lady Raven and Saleeka in general.
Shit, man. This has been a really surprising episode. When you told me we were going to do Trap, I went through mixed emotions, not having seen it, only being aware that it was the new Shyamalan thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh boy, what's this going to be? And to some extent, I did end up feeling that way, like, oh boy. But just the amount of stuff that surprised me as being really well done was a lot. So I'm really happy we watched this movie. I'm really happy we checked out this soundtrack. I will listen to more. And I'll watch the next Shyamalan movie. And I'll have complaints about it, I'm sure. I always will. But it wasn't horrible. I think he did a good job. And I like it more when he's doing his own thing.
I agree. I wasn't sure how I was going to like the movie when I went into it. Turns out I liked it. I like the soundtrack as well. This show was a hell of a lot of fun. I had a great time. you had a great time. Listener, if you had a great time, please give this podcast a rating or review, whatever platform you're currently enjoying it on. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe.
Do all that, please. And if you're not on those platforms or just want to contact us in the old school way, we're at fictionradiopod.com and fictionradiopod@gmail.com.
Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
And the serial killer amongst you was named Jordan Bentley, and he's been captured. Sleep easy, everyone.
Watching movies, jamming out. K-Fix 198.4 Fiction Radio.